Hey, Tom.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, pal.
Everyone, Lee?
Okay, we're live on YouTube.
We have everyone?
Hey, Tom.
Okay,
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. How are you? Hey. Good.
let's start our meeting. Welcome to a special council hearing for Monday, March 22nd.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Oh, there's a big delay. Let's start our meeting. Welcome to a special council hearing for Monday, March 22nd. How can we fix that?
Hi, this is Councilwoman Friedman. It became difficult to hear what's going on in City Hall. Before I could hear you clearly, and all of a sudden you sound quiet.
We had an echo that.
Yeah, it sounds
So-
like there was feedback in the room.
Oh,
Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah, now I can hear you.
All right.
Yes, Madam
So
President.
let's start over. Welcome to a special council hearing meeting for March 22nd. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
for which
stands
it stands,
One
one
nation,
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 under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty,
liberty and
Liberty.
justice for all.
and justice.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
present.
President Rossetti.
Present.
That's all 7 here.
Okay, great. So this is a special public hearing to consider comments regarding resolution to adopt the final draft plan for the Binghamton Police Reform and Reinvention collaboration. So remember that this is an opportunity for the public to comment on the committee's plan. So I ask you, please just stay on topic. You have 5 minutes to speak, callers, and please be respectful. Grace, if you could please share that number, that'd be great.
Yes, the number to call is 772-7100. Again, it is 772-7100.
This is Councilwoman Riley. Grace, I just wanted to confirm you received the emails I received in my inbox as well.
Yes, I have 3 right here.
Thank you.
Did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can read those right now. Okay, we'll start off with one from Beverly Rainforth. I appreciate the opportunity to read and comment on Binghamton's police reform plan. A concern I heard about the process was that the committee membership did not represent Binghamton's diversity. I saw that there were representations by people of color, and I hope City Council will check to make sure that A, these representatives' views are adequately represented in the report, and B, critics have opportunity to explain why they believe these representatives were not adequate represented.
Why don't you grab the phone call? 'Cause you can always read those emails later.
Okay. Hi, you're calling for public comments? Okay, please state your full name and address for the record. Okay, and your address. Okay, I will put you on speaker. Give me 1 second. This is Tina Chronopoulos, and she lives at Laurel Avenue.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tina Chronopoulos. I'm here to comment on the draft. So none of the suggestions in the draft require the BPD to engage in real systemic change. There is nothing here that will require the department to reckon with the fact that law enforcement agencies in this country are historically racist and classist. There is nothing here that reduces the number of officers or even the budget of the BPD. You could have chosen to do this and you did not. As I have said many times, we have the same number of officers today as we had in 1970. This ratio is way above average and median for similarly sized cities in the USA. The transparency and accountability goal does not include informing the public about the kinds of complaints made against DPD officers, nor does it include releasing disciplinary records to the public. It provides for summary statistical data only. This goal could have and does not mandated that the DPD make public on a regular basis data on arrests, traffic stops, or use of force applications. The goal of diversifying the ranks of the DPD does not include a plan for what to do once you've diversified your ranks. How will you deal with internal sexism, misogyny, and racism to make sure your new, diverse colleagues will want to stay? The plan also does not allow for a job applicant to substitute 60 college credits with experience working in the human services field. Currently, an applicant can waive college credits if they have 2 years of active military service. Why are you privileging military experience over human services experience? Research shows that veterans who join the police come into their jobs thinking of themselves as essentially playing soldier and often can have an us and them mentality. Other research shows that those who have taken numerous humanities and related courses develop deeper levels of empathy for those who are not like them. You might want to find out about the civil service recommendation made by the Civil Service Commission between 2016-19 here in Binghamton, which relates to permitting applicants to substitute 2 years of experience working in the human services field. As regards the third goal about investing in services relating to mental health and substance use disorder, I urge the collaborative and the city to include all local advocacy groups in your future conversations. The city has for far too long actively ignored these groups that are working towards a more humane society here in Binghamton. As for the fourth goal, which is about enhancing training and cultural competency, some of what I see here is laudable, but I hope you realize that training on taser use alone will not resolve the kind of racism that exists within the BPD. Yes, you should look very closely at how you use weapons such as tasers, but you should also look very closely at the kinds of implicit biases held by those employed in the BPD. Hiring a more diverse workforce, whether in terms of gender or race, will not solve these issues for you, nor will more diversity training. You need to reckon with the kinds of structures inherent in the department and how white supremacy permeates all its operations. I might also add that you need to think about how you can create a department that is not rife with conflict and backstabbing, and how you can help those employed by the agency access resources for their own mental health and well-being. Your final goal, which relates to expanding community policing strategies, does not seem to allow for expanding the collaborative with additional members, nor does it seem to allow for meaningful community oversight or input, always putting the focus back on the police department rather than letting the community shape the conversation. A final note, I hold the mayor responsible for this part of a process. Here is just a handful of examples of how you, Mayor David, failed the community you claim to serve. 1, you delayed the process for no obvious reason. 2, you stacked the collaborative committee with more law enforcement officers than was necessary and ignored long-standing community advocates. 3, you made little effort to put in place a transparent or inclusive
You have 1 minute
process.
left.
Let me just point out that the average Binghamton resident will have had little chance to find out about this public comment session tonight. Mayor David, you made sure of that. 4, you made sure that you were in charge of the entire process from beginning to end, allowing the collaborative minimal input into data collection, putting together the survey, or even coming up with a final plan. And finally, your unwillingness and inability to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter and that racism is rampant in the Binghamton Police Department is a failure in leadership on your part to help our community heal, and makes your statements on Twitter and elsewhere about community leaders needing to condemn hate and racism in any form ring hollow and meaningless. Shame on you.
Again, the number to call is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comments? Okay, please state your full name and address. Oh, give me, okay. Oh, sorry. So you're not a City of Binghamton resident? Okay, can you just state your last name one more time? Okay, let me put you on speaker really quick. This is Nicole Sturgeon Johnson, and she is not a City of Binghamton resident.
Madam President, could we suspend the rules for this speaker, please?
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you may begin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Sturgeon Johnson, and I'm the president of the current Broome Tioga NAACP. It has been an honor to represent the Broome Tioga NAACP as part of the BPDP Reform and Reinventive Collaborative. I've met other leaders across our community in the work and have listened attentively to the concerns and experiences of citizens of the city of Binghamton. While the process was not perfect, as I wish that we, the collaboratives, have come together earlier and had more time to process the report of both the Finn Institute and reports presented by other researchers in our city, it would have been better and had we had more time to bring to City Council a fully fleshed out version of every goal that's put forward. I am encouraged, however, that the members of the collaborative have planned to continue to meet past the April 1st deadline. This creates space and opportunity to work with community members who care about the work the city does in a post-George Floyd world. Since the collaborative met, we have continued to receive feedback from community members that are concerned about with what they have experienced in the city as it relates to interaction with Binghamton Police. There has been inputs on all sides of the issue, and the dialogue has been extensive for members of the collaborative to consider. As a president and representative for the Broome Tioga NAACP, it is important to inform our membership, allied organizations, and the greater community of what has been happening since the collaborative has been meeting. There are major points the national NAACP has been encouraging and advocating for that the collaborative has considered and plans to advance. We want to continue to encourage the collaborative to strongly consider and advance the following. We support the establishment of an independent body comprised of both leadership in the community and members of BPD. There is significant community support for this, and it has been reiterated during the public comments during this collaborative. Goal number 1 details efforts to improve transparency and accountability for BPD. The NAACP believes this can be done by making information such as the department's annual report, non-tactical policies, use of force policy, use of force collection data, and making changes to the citizen complaint process available on the department's website. However, if we want true transparency, accountability, and improved relations across the community, the NAACP requests that such information be shared in a community forum, one such as a community advisory committee or board. The use of force continuum for any police department in the country must ensure that there are at least six levels of steps with clear rules on escalation. Within BPD, the Finn Institute report highlighted disparities as it relates to the use of tasers being significantly different by race. African Americans are tased more frequently compared to other demographics. Even though policies already exist in regard to use of force and excessive force, we believe that real accountability must be in place when violations of these policies occur. This would include and not be limited to BPD publicly sharing their use of force continuum and the respective policies. Transparency with civilian interactions with police, such as the elimination of racial disparities in arrests. Collect data about all police stops, including the race of the driver and the police officer conducting the stop. This data should be published on at least a quarterly basis with an analysis of any racial disparities, utilization of body cameras and dashboard cameras for the entity of an officer's duty and for the entirety of an officer's duty, and making the report data publicly available in cases of alleged misconduct. Require identification of and interaction of officers with repeated complaints and disciplinary incidents. Goal 2 of the action items the collaborative has reviewed involves diversifying the Binghamton police ranks. BPD called for the appointment of a full-time recruitment officer, a duly sworn police officer to serve as the chief diversity officer of the department, and welcome the opportunity to work with the collaborative to write the job description for the work of this position, as the work involves recruitment and retention efforts of officers from diverse backgrounds. Goal 3 of the action items that the collaborative has reviewed seeks to improve relations with organizations such as MHAS, the Mental Health Association of the Southern Tier, to develop mobile crisis services for transporting individuals experiencing mental health crises.
Your time is up.
Madam President, can we, because this is the president of the NAACP, may she complete her statement, please?
Go
Thank
ahead
you
and
for your
complete your
time.
statement, please.
Hello?
Madam President,
Yes,
can I speak, please?
yes.
I
Councilman,
don't know if we should allow anybody extra time because we're gonna set a precedence.
well, that is true, and I hate to cut people off in the middle of their statements. It's, the information that's being shared is great, but, and important. And is there any way that we can have this submitted via email? I would certainly love to hear the
Yes.
rest of it. Thank
Yes,
you.
we can submit it.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move forward, continue, with the 5 minutes so we can make it manageable for all and for everybody to have the opportunity to call in. And please continue to email your comments. Even if you had the opportunity to speak and there's something additional you'd like to add after that. Okay, moving on.
Hi, you're calling for public comment? Please state your full name and address. Okay. Can you just repeat your last name one more time? Okay. All right, give me 1 second. I'll put you on speaker. Okay, this is Nicole and she lives on Bigelow. You may
Oh,
begin.
are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I have lived in Binghamton, New York all my life, born and raised here. And I lived in the north side of Binghamton. I lived part of my life as a child on Shenango Street, right in a building next to the Master Cleaners. And my grandfather had a restaurant. And then I moved to the first ward of Binghamton, lived the rest of my life here until I, reached adulthood, bought a home and everything. I just would love to say that I'm concerned with the community and I would love to see some kind of change regarding police reform. I think if there's funding that is going toward just them, but not into the community, I don't want to see that. I want to see funding in my community. I want to go to Rec Park, and I want to see a beautiful basketball court for young children. Because when I sit there with my grandson, the most enjoyment I get is watching them play basketball. I love watching the kids run around and interact with each other. These prejudices, they don't start off when we're children. We hear what adults are saying, and we hear their hateful words. And these children, they love their parents, and they hear those words. And we need to stop doing that. We need to come together as a community. I plan to live here the rest of my life. And I want to be able to trust, and I want to be able to see a change, a real change. My interactions, whenever I got pulled over, were always good. I've never had any problems. But I sometimes feel that just because of my skin color, is that why I didn't get, that's why I had not such a hard time with interactions, whether they wrote me a ticket or let me go, because of whatever. But I just think there needs to be more interaction and more accountability held on
still that way. And I know not all cops are like that, but the some that are, or the COs that are doing things wrong, there needs to be accountability. There needs to be a change. This whole last year, my heart has been broken. Seeing things on Facebook, different. And then this last one, when I saw the 5 COs that attacked an 18-year-old, I've been in this position all my life where I work around people that might need to be held down or redirected. Never once have they ever died. It just bothers me that people in such high positions can do the things that they do. It really upsets me. It really breaks my heart. I've seen these people out. And when I'm out, how do you look at them? How do you respond to them? Because I get upset inside.
You have 1 minute left?
Why are they beating up on an 18-year-old boy? Why are people dying in the correction facility? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. And it's really destroying me. I don't want to live the rest of my life feeling this pain that I feel every single day of my life. It breaks my heart. But I think if we could just all understand that those people, just because they have unions that back them, if they do something wrong, then something needs to be done about it. Nobody has nobody has a right to put their hands on anybody.
Your time is up.
Even if the 18-year-old was calling them every name.
Your time is up.
They're supposed to be.
Thank you. Grace, if you could read that number again.
Yes.
And just a reminder that this is an opportunity for the public to comment on the committee's plan. And so I ask folks to stay on topic as much as possible. Thank you. Read that number, please.
The number to call is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Hello, not really. Can you hear me? Okay, please state your full name and address. You have to give your full name and address for the record. It's required by everybody. You have to state your full name and address. Give me 1 second, I'll put you on speaker. This person is Art Vandalay on 3 Birch Street. You may begin.
So I want to talk about your picks for the Binghamton Police Reform Board. I think it's a lousy choices that you've made. Several of the people on that board are police officers or are aligned with police. You have Tanya Thompson, who doesn't care anything about what we have to say at school board meetings. It goes in one ear and out the other. You got, so John Solek, go to bed. It's bedtime. I'm talking. You have Brian Whalen, who's clearly racist. He was calling Kanye West the N-word a few years ago. So you got some lousy picks for the police reform board. And the reason that we can't be aligning ourselves or bridging the gap between the community and police is because we don't want anything to do. The police, CEOs, anybody aligned with police. We see a perfect example of what happened a few days ago last week at Broome County Jail. Young 18-year-old kid was beat by 5 who don't have any fun in their lives. They're a cult, they're a clan, and they enjoy beating young black kids in jail. We had a protest at the Columbus Day Parade, nothing changed. 2 days later, another assault was committed. And at the end of the day, we don't see any change from trying to bridge the gap between police and people. We need to separate ourselves from the police. And I know you're not listening. You don't care what I have to say. But at the end of the day, I see people out here every day who have each other's backs, better without the police. Rich David and Tom Scallon are bullying people, bullying city council members. We don't need them bullying Aviva. We don't need them bullying Angela. We don't need them bullying any people out here who are doing actual work and not sitting in their cars 50 feet away.
Okay, so
trying to act
this
tough,
is for
trying to act like
this
they're gonna have
particular
anything to do
public
with this
comment
thing.
is for the
So, yeah.
purpose of commenting the committee's plan. Can we? please-
Madam President, can I say something, please?
Go ahead, Councilman.
This is Councilman Tom Skillen. Just for the record, that was, the guy was making a joke about a TV character from a popular TV show with his name, and I think he thought he was cute. Thank you.
Okay, I wasn't even sure. I'm not sure what he's talking about. I would like to keep this, as I said, this is meant to be, to give folks in our community the opportunity to comment on the committee's plan. So if we could please move forward with that, I would appreciate it. Go ahead, if you could read the number again. Thank you.
Okay, the number to call is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address for the record. Okay, so let me put you on speaker. This is Dara Silverstein, and she lives on Kendall Ave.
Hi. So I'd like to address a couple of things that have been said about the report and what should be done and how we should move forward. First of all, I was a former commissioner on the Civil Service Commission, and I was one of the commissioners. I think we had a majority vote on a change that was made in terms of civil service requirements for becoming police officers. For a while, the Binghamton Police Department had a requirement, had a civil service qualification that substituted military service, years of military service for college credits in terms of being eligible to take the exam. But the change that was voted into civil service law that was referred to earlier, it also included service to social service agencies, and that could also be served, that could also substitute for college credit. It was passed. It's important to see why it hasn't been actualized, and it's important to understand if it was changed, why it was changed, because that intent to change it suggests that there is an intent to maintain a certain kind of militaristic approach to policing in our communities, and that's very problematic. Criminalizing all actions that occur in the community is not an appropriate way that we, quote, police ourselves for safety reasons. We should be looking to addressing community needs in a way that the report absolutely ignores. We don't need more policing. We need more community-based responses to community-based needs. Policing does not do that. So I would strongly encourage you all to consider the ways that our limited resources could be spent in more productive ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the number again is 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Hi, please state your full name and address. Can you repeat that one more time? 1 second. This is Lily and she lives on Seminary Ave. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that there's literally no need for police in our schools terrorizing our Black and brown children. We should be working to defund the police. The police have a gigantic budget. Instead of using the strategy of diversifying the cops, which does not help and does not fix a racist and corrupt system, we should just be defunding it, tokenizing and putting women cops and cops of color in does not do anything. We are not trying to expand community policing strategies. This translates into putting more cops in neighborhoods, which has proven to be dangerous and violent, and cops have proven to be terrorizing. Police in Binghamton and throughout the country have shown to cause harm and violence. Why would you put more money into training for the police? Going to a couple of trainings a year won't change the violent tactics that have been used for decades. There is no need for a whitewashed proposal made by people who are friends of the police themselves. You are not hearing the community's voices. The voices of the community have been muddled. The community has once again mobilized to take matters into our own hands and are forced to push our voices to be heard. Defund the police, demilitarize the police, and use that money to feed people and house people in Binghamton.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, this is Jennifer Saranic, and she lives on 8 Stone Street. You may begin.
Yes, so I'm here to talk about the people that were chosen to be on the committee. I think it perpetuates the institutional racism, having Chief Zukoski, a known racist, who has racial discrimination lawsuits against him, sexism lawsuits against him. And I don't see how someone with such a long history going back to 1996 should be on a committee helping the community and helping solve racism when he in fact perpetuates it himself. That's right. So I question a committee that has someone who has so many racism lawsuits against him, who has discriminated against police of color, people of color in the community, in his office, and I have an issue with that. I don't believe that any good can come from a committee where the people making decisions are perpetuating racism themselves.
Okay, again, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay, and just so you know, we do have a letter from you as well, so this will count as your time for speaking. So I will put you on speaker. This is Jill Schultz, and she lives on Monroe Street.
I am not very happy with this plan, and yet I would still like the city council to vote yes. The analysis was deeply flawed. The plan really needs a measurable outcome, and it needs a much more focus on results
That's something that I hope the collaborative will work on very strongly as they continue to meet, because it's not enough to have a good goal if you don't know how you're going to get there, and if you don't have a way to tell as you're working towards it if you are making progress. I know there wasn't enough time. That is really something I would like to see the group work on to make it real. I think that many of the people who are distrustful because we have no sense of what will happen if these goals are not met. There is no sense of accountability, either rewards or punishments if cops are not doing their jobs well. Those things all need to be in the plan. Another thing that I would really like to see happen is, as I said, the analysis was deeply flawed. Part of this was because of data collection. There were a lot of mistakes made. I was really disappointed that we did not get good answers to our questions. And I want to see us poised to get those in the future. The only way that can happen is if the department starts making changes in how it collects data and how it reports it. I think we could have spent our money much better having the Fin Institute work with them on that issue. I have sent in long comments with a lot more details. I hope that other people are going to speak, so I will wrap up right now. But as I said, please focus on measurable outcomes. Look at accountability and transparency. These are key things for us to move forward to make anything better. Thank you.
The number is 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay. All right, I'll just state that you are not a City of Binghamton resident and they can waive the rules.
Madam President, motion to suspend the rules.
Yep, this is Rebecca Rathmel, and she does not live in the City of Binghamton.
Second.
Okay, you may begin.
Hi, good evening. So while I agree with many of the comments that have been made regarding the process of the collaborative, I want to address tonight specifically the report that was published. I have expertise in prevention-oriented data and outcomes analysis, as well as performance management and policy development. So I routinely analyze data and service metrics to identify opportunities for improvement across areas of service access, provision, and effectiveness. I regularly read reports such as the one submitted by the Fin Institute to aid in determining best practices and potential next steps. As such, there are several comments and conclusions within this report that I find significantly problematic. To start, the Fin Institute, as early as their introduction on page 2, prefaces their report with the implication that racially motivated police misconduct is likely not the fault of the police. You'll find the quotes that I referenced in the email submission I sent in this afternoon with my full comments. This implication is pervasive and is often paired with unnecessary statements intended, as far as I can tell, to divert responsibility away from any potential of misconduct. All of which leads me to question whether the Institute understood that their directive was, in fact, to strengthen accountability through addressing disparate standards as opposed to defending problematic outcomes. Similarly, much of the research phase disregards conclusions based on substantial research findings. For example, the final report of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. While the authors opt instead to claim the efficacy of their own studies, at least 10% of the report's citations are self-citations, far from an industry best practice. Often, even when not citing their own work, the authors express conclusions not explicitly included in cited studies to support their opinions, including one that refers to officers most prone to illegal conduct as, quote, in general, good cops, end quote. Finally, the recommendations gathered via community input, most notably but not limited to alternatives to police involvement or diversion programs for mental health, substance use, and other nonviolent calls were snubbed in favor of, quote, police-led interventions based on, quote, the unique competence of police due to their capacity to wield coercive authority, going so far as to purport that the application of such coercive authority is disproportionately necessary in neighborhoods of color. Again, a complete disregard of the collaborative objective. The authors also claimed that the study they administered to, quote, supplement community input revealed, quote, moderately high levels of trust in Binghamton police. A review of the actual results, however, shows that the 15% of respondents who indicated extremely negative views were considered unrepresentative and so distinguished entirely from inclusion in the broader sample. Even if the full data had been accurately represented, the authors reiterate that citizens, quote, experiences are shaped by their prior attitudes. So again, any negative perceptions drawn would likely be due to preconceived notions rather than actual experience, an implication that brings us back to the premise that permeates the entire publication. I would urge City Council to reject this report as flawed and biased, and move on to put together a collaborative that actually affects impactful change.
Okay. Again, the number to call is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Line was empty.
I'm sorry.
The line was empty, just was ringing, dial tone on there. Again. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address for the record. Okay, let me just put this down and I'll put you on speaker. It's Jessica Woodward and she lives on Gain Street. You may begin. Hello? Disconnecting. The number is 772-7100. 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, all right. I will put you on speaker and we'll try this again. Okay, this is Jessica Woodburn and she's from Gain Street. She's calling again. Okay. You may begin.
All right. The police in this town and across the country have a history of harassment and abuse towards its citizens. We need the changes the community requested, not the nonsense our current mayor has pushed through. We need to defund or even abolish the Binghamton Police Department. We need a human rights commission to ensure our community's safety. No police policing themselves. This obviously does not work. We need mental health professionals, social workers, and community advocates on most calls. We do not need police. If we have to have police, they should be trained to respond to all different kinds of calls. Not every person needs police with guns drawn and a bad attitude. The police treat every person like they are criminals before they even speak to them, especially Black and brown people. And finally, we need to remove equipment and techniques that are excessive and inhumane. Tanks, facial recognition, and body cams turned off are just some of the things I'm talking about. Please take this opportunity to listen to your community. We are here, we are watching, we are speaking, and we would like you to listen.
The number again is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Hello? The line was empty again. The number is 772. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, and then what is your address? Sorry, can you say that again? This is Marcia Gates. I didn't quite get the address. You may begin. The line went blank again. The number is 772-7100. 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, all right, I will put you on speaker. Okay, this is Marcia Gates again. You may begin.
Yes, I am a mother in this community, a member of this community, and it's important to me that my kids and this community remain safe. And safe means keeping the community where everybody can be safe. That means housing. That means food security. That means mental health services and additional health services. Policing doesn't make this community safe. Militarizing the police, tanks, do not make this community safe. Domestic violence happens every day, and women cannot leave those situations when they don't have the financial wherewithal to do so. We need programs to help, not police, programs. Everybody here has seen those thin blue line memes and the Facebook wallpapers and the giant ridiculous truck stickers. Police cannot police themselves. They won't cross that thin blue line. We know it. They know it. They display it. We need to dismantle it all, because my brown children, my brown sons deserve a community that respects them, and what we have right now does not. Thank you.
Okay, again, the number is 772-7100. 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address for the record. Give me 1 second, I'll put you on speaker. Okay, this is Tarek Abdelzam, and he's from Tremont Ave. You may begin.
I have spoken multiple times during city council business meetings about the flawed process. So I'm just very briefly cap some of them. One, no matter how diligent and committed the collaborative members were, and certainly appreciate the time commitment they made, their job was made impossible because the mayor never wanted this to be a thoughtful, thorough process from the beginning. There were communities that had already submitted their draft plans for rigorous public review for months of feedback before the mayor even held his first meeting of the task force. The entire process was rigged. It was a sham. Worst of all, for many community meetings, although there was some fantastic testimony provided by community members, it was basically a process that centered whiteness. We heard again and again, white folks talking about how great the relationships are with police. And when we're dealing with a system that systematically generates disparities based on race, you have to make sure that those voices who are most negatively impacted by that system are centered. In no way was there any effort to center Black and brown voices, those who suffer from domestic violence, those who suffer from addiction, the mental health services, all of those who are harmed, in fact, by the current approach to law enforcement, which is ingrained and stitched with one of our most pernicious American values, racism. What I would encourage, though, is since it's clear there will not be a diversion of resources away from law enforcement towards programs that would actually reimagine community safety and better serve our constituents, the council needs to be very careful that this plan could serve as a Trojan horse through which the mayor and his acolytes can actually advocate for more resources for the police department. So I think that there could be a very simple measure that the city council should consider, and that in implementing any of the recommendations, that the funds in order to carry out that reform must be pulled from the police budget as it stands in the 2020 budget. Not a penny more. Any effort to implement reforms, again, must be funded by existing funds in the police department. Then we'll see how genuine the mayor, the administration, and supporters are in actually meeting some of the more important and critical demands that community has made repeatedly, but this mayor has done nothing but diminish, belittle, and demonize. This really is a sham, and I feel sorry for all those who have contributed their time to the collaborative because it was sabotaged from the beginning by our mayor. Thank you.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay. And your address? One second. Okay, this is Chris Perez and he lives on Prospect Avenue. You may begin.
Yes, I just have a quick question. What is my time limit? Because I tend to be long-winded, so I want to make sure I hit the correct points.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, thank you. So, like I stated, my name is Christopher Perez. I was actually in a very unique situation, an opportunity to be able to sit on the collaborative. But today I'm calling in as a resident with the who had the opportunity to sit on the collaborative and see many things and listen to some of the public comment that's being made tonight. And so I just want to start by saying, you know, I do all know that no matter what the process would have looked like, it wouldn't have looked perfect, right? That eventually, you know, it did get started, whether it was late in the game or not, you know, it is a whole nother question. And I think that's a valuable question. And I think that there's a lot to be said that, well, about everything in general that has gone on thus far. And, you know, I talked to many people about the situation and I said, you know, it's not that I don't like all the recommendations, right? But it's like when you go to Thanksgiving dinner, right? You like all the sides, all the desserts, but there's like, to me as a resident, right, as a community member and as a member of the collaborative, and I did voice his opinion, right? I said there was like the main course missing, like the turkey or the ham, so to say, right? And what I mean by that is, although there's those great ideas of, you know, putting up statistics and trying to diversify and having great conversations about how do we have community police with mental health providers and reimagining, like many people have said, what first responders look like and so on and so forth. You know, I think those ideas are great, but what I think is something that I think the community is asking for, I think that would probably be a great idea. And I think that we're in the process of doing this, and that is continuing the conversation with a diversified group of citizens, similar to the committee that is currently put in place, to be able to have an opportunity to sit on this committee and know that we're going to have the backing from whatever administration comes in after this to continue to work with this committee despite anything. Like basically saying if they come in and they do not want to work with this committee because this is an ongoing process, right? That is basically like political suicide. And I don't like to use the word suicide. It's a very touchy thing, but I apologize for that. But I wanted to illustrate a point. Like, this has to be a guaranteed thing that there's going to be other members, and we're all going to continue to work to help not only train, but give, some of the stuff that the community is asking for is actually going to help the police. You can't police your own. It's very hard. And it's a very stressful job. And to have mental health providers and service providers go out with the police in partnership, right? In a partnership, interdisciplinary approach to be able to provide services and find people out there who do need services instead of needing to be arrested and fed into a financial institute. Because we got to ask ourselves a fundamental question. Is the criminal justice system really about financial institute? And if it is, do we really want these changes? But I don't think that it is. And I think that this administration, this committee, and this council will vote on this as long as they know there's something in place that this is going to be sustainable and it's going to be accountable for, and everyone's going to have to listen to this committee moving forward. So we can make these changes a little bit at a time and work together. So I thank you for my time. I think that's just around 5 minutes.
Yep, you have 1 minute.
Unless I have a little bit more, is that the 5 minutes?
You have 40 seconds.
40 seconds. I want to thank everyone. I do want to thank everyone dearly because I came into this situation being candid, Chris, because I'm going to tell it how it is. I always said I'm a social worker. I'm just trying to see both sides of everything. So I think there's a lot to be done. And I want to thank everybody for the opportunity. And I hope that everyone makes the best decisions for our community as a whole and not for individual reasonings. Thank you.
Okay, the number to call is 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, you said Pleasant Street? Okay. This is Emily Blakely, and she lives on Pleasant Street. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. My name is Emily Blakely, and I am a PhD student at Binghamton University. I also am the representative for all graduate workers at Binghamton University. I say this in case there are any graduate students listening in right now to know that you guys are supported. I support you against the police and the fright that I know that you guys feel in this community. Moving on, I have there's a few things I want to say. We as a community and you guys listening in on this call, we have two choices. We can build a better and safer community for everyone, or we can continue to support the Binghamton police. We cannot have both. The Binghamton police are violent, but they are also ineffective. They have a tank. They have military weapons. 5 to 6 of them will show up to a single call. I know this because I have seen it happen. And then I see them drive away. They sit there in front of my window in their car drinking a coffee. This is where our tax dollars are going. And yet, in our community, young Black boys and girls are targets. And yet, our community members starve. We have people who are homeless. We do not have enough mental health providers in this county. Regardless of who says that we should be supporting them, we do not have enough mental health people in this community to handle the needs of this community, let alone mental health providers who are of color and who are willing to work with people of color. And yet, our police budget grows. And yet, when asked for change, you ignored the community while your constituents asked for your help. You discussed hiring more officers. You discussed continuing to fund military weapons.
Thank God the community was able to step in and to help and to clothe and to feed their own, because those in charge sure are not helping them. You guys, you are not listening. This committee to change policing is not listening. You do not need better PR. When I read that, that was ridiculous. You do not need better PR. You need to do better. But better than that, more than that, you need to go away. And I have one last thing to say before I go away. I'm gonna ask that the police get the fuck out of our schools.
Thanks for hanging up. One more call like that, and it will be like, we will, as soon as we get a sense it's from the same people, we'll be hanging up. The language is absolutely not acceptable. It does not further the work in any way, shape, or form. I don't get it. How adults are calling in and using this language when they are trying to present a viewpoint and to make others listen. Kind of hard to listen when the language is happening. So let's continue with the folks that want to call in and be respectful and stay on topic.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay, what is the street? Okay, give me 1 second. This is Salka Valerio. She lives on Mueller Street. You may begin.
Good evening. So I'm not gonna be here too long because I know the community had expressed what they had to say already, and I don't want to do any repeats. But I haven't heard anyone call in favor for this at all. So with that being said, the automatic answer should be no. This is not what the community wants. The community has already been voicing their opinion since June, and since we have the right to public comments and for our opinions, and I haven't even heard anyone that was really in favor of this, it should automatically be a no. I feel like they rushed this process. They put together something that wasn't really made sense at all, because the police cannot police themselves. In the plan, I didn't even see anything for transparency as far as like a community review board or any of that. So I hope that the city council take that into the consideration, that the community members do not like this plan and it should not move forward. Thank
Okay,
you.
the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. One second. This is Megan Carey, and she lives on Seminary Ave. You may begin.
Okay, today I'm gonna be reading a statement on behalf of another community member of the Binghamton area. Hello, I'm requesting the opportunity to speak at the hearing tonight as an average neighborhood mother of color. I am Gail, a mother and a grandmother. I am currently in fear for my grandson's life at the hands of the Binghamton police who have threatened us. My grandson, who is 14 years old, has been accused of involvement at the scene of a recent shooting on Robinson Street.
Binghamton police officers have threatened me and my grandson's mother, saying he needs to turn himself in now or things can get really bad because they don't know what could happen if some of these newbie police officers get a hold of him. It could really be bad. I asked the officer if he is threatening the life and well-being of my 14-year-old grandson. His response was that they cannot control some of these new officers and that he is a criminal and broke the law. I said he has not been convicted of anything and he was not the judge and jury. His response was that he was the law and basically that they had a right to go after him using any means necessary. I told him he was dealing with a 14-year-old. In addition, Binghamton Police have provided a photo of my 14-year-old grandson, which is posted on the Most Wanted. I did not know that you could post a minor's picture and identity. I tell this story tonight because I want to be on notice in the hope of saving my grandson's life. I fear that the police will use excessive force as threatened by the Binghamton Police and will shoot and ask questions later. My grandson is 14 and I am beyond scared of what might happen. I would like an opportunity to be involved with my lawyer when and if the Binghamton Police try to apprehend my grandson to de-escalate the situation. This speaks to the need to spell out these force procedures and policies to de-escalate situations before the police run in. It also speaks to the need to have oversight of police behavior. I have nowhere to call to report this. We must have an independent process to lodge complaints and that complaints are dealt with in a timely manner. We cannot have police policing themselves. Also, I am concerned that by the police officers' own admission, they have concerns about the out of control behavior of their own rookie police officers. This must be addressed. As a mother of color, I have always had fears of police interactions with my children. Now it is playing out right now. I also have stories of my own to tell regarding excessive measures used by police on myself, which I will not get to now. The most important thing is to prevent an excessive use of force and death of my grandson. That is why I speak out tonight. We must change policing in Binghamton.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is Autumn McDonald and she is not a
I
city.
would like to add that I'm reading off a story from a resident on the north side of Binghamton though.
Okay, she's
So
not.
I have to say it's important.
Okay, she's not a City of Binghamton resident?
Yes, she is. The person's story that I'm reading is from the north side of Binghamton.
Okay, we'll ask a council member to.
Motion to suspend the rules to allow this person to speak.
Second.
Okay, you may begin.
Thank you. Hi, I am Jasmine, a single mom of 4 children. 2 of my children are special needs children. I am here today to say I no longer call the Binghamton Police when I need help because of how I have been treated. I would rather call a stranger on the street to help me. My story is such that as I have 2 special needs kids with mental health issues. My 8-year-old daughter has behavioral issues and PTSD and has run off several times, and I called the police to help bring her back because I could not leave my autistic 10-year-old to be alone with my other children. So I called the police to help because I was worried for the safety of my young daughter on the streets alone. Each time I called, I was met with extremely judgmental police and treated with negative attitudes. I am a low-income mom and Puerto Rican and live in a poor neighborhood, which I believe contributes to the way I have been judged and treated. I call the police for help, and what I get is negative comments and judgment. I was told I should call the police for help, and what I get is negative comments. I was told I should not be a mom. I apologize. That I was an unfit mother and that they would make a CPS report and I would lose my kids. One officer said, asked me, who told you to have all these kids? I would not have kids if I could not take care of them. Lady, you just need to deal with it. One asked why I lived in this neighborhood. Why did I not call family for help? I thought police were supposed to be there for help in protecting children. It is disheartening to me that because of the treatment from the Binghamton police, I will no longer call them for help, and that is a tough decision because it could lead to potential danger for my children. I think police need to be trained in regard to mental health issues and learn how to handle these special situations and not verbally abuse the families who need assistance. Police need to be trained to treat people fairly and not prejudice and not prejudge, people and treat them badly or differently because they are poor and not white or live in a low-income neighborhood. I grew up on the West Side, and I know that Binghamton police respond differently to people with money versus people who are struggling with poverty. They have a whole different attitude. What I would like to see in police reform, I would like to see mental health professionals rather than Binghamton police respond to situations with special needs children, for people with mental health issues and people in domestic violence situations. At the very least, police need to be trained in how to deal with people, how to assess the situation, not make judgments without facts, and have extensive mental health intervention training. You spend endless time training police how to shoot guns, but almost no time in how to de-escalate situations and treat people with mental health issues. These are more situations that police encounter day to day, and their training should reflect that. Finally, there is no one to complain to when police misbehave. Police need to be accountable for their behavior. There needs to be an independent oversight of police misconduct so people have a place to complain and their behavior is addressed. If police do not see their role as helping people, then they should be in another line of work. Thank you.
The number is 772-7100. 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, let me write this down and then I will put you on speaker. Okay, this is Manny Griffin and he lives on Baxter Street. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Manny Griffin. I've been to a number of these protests. I just started attending these protests this summer, and I've learned a lot from all these people out here. This past summer, the mayor has been saying some false accusations about these people, and I just wanted to say that it's an utter lie. I have literally seen these people house and home the hungry and feed the poor. I've seen these people do a ton for this community, more than he has ever had. If you go down to Martin Luther King any day in the summer, there's about 20 to 50 people, homeless people out there. I've asked them many questions, have you guys had help? And what every single one of them has said is that these people out here help them. So I just wanted to say that. Earlier, a gentleman called in and he said to be patient. He said, be patient, he said. My people have been murdered for over 400 years. You want to tell us to be patient? Our patience is over. There is no more patience. We want change now. Not in a year, not in a week. We want change now. Don't tell us to be patient when the results of this police reform does not affect you at all. The results of this police reform directly affects me and my children and all the Black people in this community. I am not here for me. I have already lived through a life of racism and discrimination. I have operated in a world that was designed for me to fail. I've already dealt with this. I already know how to live with it. I'm here for my people and the next generations to come and to make it better for my children. We've had protest after protest after protest.
nothing in this police reform plan reflects any of our voices. It is the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite of the Finn Institute plan, which you guys have spent $36,000 to do. We don't want police officers in the high school. They don't represent our needs. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I believe the current police reform plan is a joke. We're tired of it, and I urge the city council to vote against it, or else we're going to be out here for another 400 years. And I hope you guys are listening, and I really love you guys. Like, you guys are, yeah, I mean that. I say that because I know majority of the people on the city council don't listen to what we have to say. It's evidence, but the people out here are the real people who are going to help the people in need, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. This is Terry Weathers, and she lives on Rexford Street.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys are sick of hearing my voice by now. I know I am sick and tired of calling. We met all summer and did the work for you. All you had to do was listen to what the community is saying. I am standing outside of the city office building, watching my tax dollars just lounging around and watching us like we're doing something. Let me tell you, the police do nothing in this town. My purse has sat next to a tree for the last 2 hours. Who keeps us safe? I'll tell you, we keep us safe. It is not the Binghamton Police Department. I have called them for help before. I have told you about this. They don't help. They take our money. They are taking food from my children's mouths. They are taking food from my neighbors' children's mouths. They are taking health care from people who need it. They are taking school funding from people who need it. We told you what to do with the money. What did you do? Did you listen? Do you not work for us? Do we not pay for you? It is so frustrating. I almost didn't call today because I am feeling so angry that it is difficult to control my language. I am a lady. And I know that some of those ladies have trouble with real words. This is a fucking sham.
Okay, number 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Good. Can you please state your first name, or sorry, your full name and address? Okay, let me put you on speaker really quick.
I'd like to ask a quick question. Rest of the council members here, are you okay with foul language? Councilman Riley, Councilman Freedom, Councilman Burns, Scaringi, Strong.
Give me 1
Scanlon.
second, please.
You can hang up. Are you guys okay with continuing with foul language being thrown out there?
This is Councilwoman Friedman. I am not bothered by it.
Okay. How about you, Councilman Burns? You think it's okay that it's they're calling our police officers at the schools, tell them to F off and so forth? Go ahead. Just trying to gauge where you're all at. You know where I'm at.
No, I
Madam, go ahead.
don't think it's okay. I think it's against the rules, and there could be children listening, and this should be an adult conversation.
Thank you. Councilman Strong.
Sorry, I had to unmute. I think it's completely ridiculous. I don't know how you could possibly be okay with it. There's got to be some decorum, some level of respect.
Thank you. Councilman
If you
Stanley.
control your language on a call, then that just shows what how you really feel. Thank you.
Councilman Scanlon.
Madam President, it's hard to take somebody serious when they have to throw foul language around to get their point across. So I'm certainly not okay with it. I don't know how we stop it.
Okay.
But I'm certainly not okay with it. No, thank you.
I appreciate that. Councilwoman Riley?
Yes, this is Councilwoman Riley. I think what needs to be done is we need to set the tone. I get the frustration of the callers. We do understand decorum, but again, setting the tone without being condescending is important. And that will change.
You're right.
That will encourage how the calls come in.
Yeah, none of us here tonight have been condescending. We're accepting of all calls and we're thrilled to have them. And we always begin by saying, please be respectful. Thank you for that. I'm not sure if you, again, are okay with that foul language or not. We didn't really say. Councilman Scaringi, I'm curious.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, there's obviously better language that can be used to articulate a point.
Okay, because I do know some younger kids listening. There's a time and a place, I think. So anyway, let's move on. Next phone call, please.
Okay.
And next time there's any.
She's the reason someone online right now.
Okay.
Okay, you may begin.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Hello? Yes, my name is, yeah.
You can begin.
Yes. Yes, hi, how are you? My name is Patricia McCarran, and I'm so proud of Ava and Angela, Mr. Burns. I've done some things in the community. I was a little bit reluctant to make this phone call because of fear of retaliation or whatever. But I'm retired from the police department. I wasn't an officer, but I was in traffic. And I just wanted to say that I've been discouraged and dismayed since I lived here from 15 years ago from Jamaica, Queens, New York, that some of the officers from the Binghamton Police Department do need diversity training, and a lot of them I've run into have nasty dispositions. Some of them are really nice gentlemen, but I think that diversity training needs to be at hand. That again, like everyone's reiterating, that when they have calls for mental health, that a social worker should accompany them. I have a lot of stories, but I don't care to share them now. But I was really discouraged and dismayed that someone that wanted to be a police officer should run into such nasty, rude officers. And I hope that in the future that in this funding, the funds will go to training. And also I think that the whole of the police department annually, every year should have psychological evaluations to deal with attitude, temperament in dealing with people, especially people of color and people of different ethnic backgrounds. Everyone know how people are in different ethnic backgrounds, like a Caucasian police officer from a rural town in Candor or further upstate. How do you know how to interact and have a conversation with someone of color from New York City or Philadelphia or some urban community? So overall, everything needs to have a balance. And like I said, I've had some good and bad conversations and interactions with police. People are calling cursing, which is derogatory, but people are calling cursing because they're upset. I don't condone it, but people are upset and really can't articulate the anger
experience, like the mother with the 14-year-old child. I bleed for her right now, and I hope everything work out. But like I said, from someone who worked with the police department at one time, I've never seen some of the attitudes that I've seen here, and I'm from New York City. And I wish everything could get better. Everyone work together. People put their attitudes on guard, and everybody have a blessed day.
Okay, again, the number is 772-7100, 772. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Hello? Hi, can you please state your full name and address? Okay, what is your street address? Okay, give me 1 second and I will put you on speaker. Okay, this is Taj Robinson. They live on Schubert Street. You may begin.
I'm here today to share the story of a local Binghamton resident. She is a Black mom who has had some really bad experiences with the police, and she wants her words to be shared today. I'm speaking with you today about my own personal experience with BPD and law enforcement in general. First, let me say every experience I have ever had with law enforcement was respectful. I have never had a personal fear of law enforcement until I moved to Binghamton, New York, little old Binghamton. I have lived in multiple cities in various states, and I like to drive fast, really fast. So I've had a lot of encounters with state troopers as well as city police. The intensity in which BPD will target, threaten, and harass a child is outrageous. My 14-year-old son was outside on a summer night at his friend's house. On this night, an altercation started between adults outside where the children were playing. All the kids ran away. My son and his two friends ran towards the safety of his friend's house. When they were a few houses away, a police cruiser came down the street from the direction they were running and stopped them in. The boys were then put into the police vehicle and taken to the station. My son's friend kept asking, can he get his mom? She was sleeping inside the house. The officers refused his request, and all three were taken to the station and held in separate locked rooms for 4 hours before I was notified. It took an additional 2 hours before anyone spoke with me. Then another hour for us to not make a statement and leave. During this 3-hour process, my son was treated like a criminal. During the hour-long talk, I was told over and over, I don't really know who my child is or the stuff he's into. When I asked the officer what he thought my son was into and what proof he had of his response was, right now, nothing. You should keep an eye on him. After speaking to other mothers, I found out that's a common phrase used by officers when speaking to parents. In my opinion, those words used are a tactic to cause dissension and distrust between the parent and the child. The officer then proceeded to tell me that because of his many years working in law enforcement, he knows it's just a matter of time before my child will eventually be arrested. At that point, I felt like a target was clearly painted on his back. He soon confirmed my feelings when he let me know my son was on his radar and would be watched. He had this whole conversation with me using nice words and with a smile on his face. I have never been so terrified for the welfare of my child as I was in that moment. Now, fast forward to the following Monday, and one of the first people my son sees upon entering school is a support officer. One can only imagine the anxiety he must have felt. I felt like the only thing that was being supported was the trauma they created on that summer night. Every time my child walks into school, he has to endure the stare of an officer who already sees him as a criminal. When does he get to just be a child?
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, can you just repeat that one more time? I apologize. Okay. Okay, this is Toivo Ashiki, and I apologize if I pronounce that wrong, and he lives on Handel Street. You may begin.
All right, wow. All right. So I'm reading a story right now. Let me read these stories to have y'all listen to hear and actually take action, right? So the story I'm going to read right now is from a young person. I would like to see police take accountability for wrongdoing. I would like to see officers lighten up on minor traffic stops. I was in a minor traffic stop. An officer in an unmarked vehicle with his police light stopped me and said that I had swerved over the middle line. I complied. He then starts asking me about criminal activity I had no knowledge of. I felt like I was harassed and profiled. I feel like I was a target, and when the officer did not find any criminal activity in my vehicle and a vehicle or on my person, I asked him, can I have his badge number? They declined. I also asked, can I get a copy of the traffic report? They then threatened me with, quote, if I wanted a copy of the report, they will have to arrest me and take me to the county jail. That's right. I wouldn't risk it because my life would be in danger. We need more police accountability so they do not have free reign to just stop people of color. There needs to be monthly tracking on police stops and identify racial profiling, and this must stop. We also need an independent, keyword underlined, independent oversight to police the police. Almost every person who testified from the clergy to average community people has said there needs to be an oversight board, but that was not included in this proposal. Thank you very much, and fuck 12.
Okay, the number is 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Yes, please state your full name and your address. Okay. What, Park Street, okay. Okay, let me put you on speaker. Okay. This is John Fitzsimmons, and he lives on Park Street. You may begin.
Hey, well, this point, yeah, I'm in transit, but I looked over the quote unquote reinvention collaborative plan, and thank you for your time. First of all, I don't know how much good these things do. Good. I'm hoping that some things get through, and that some constructive exchange does end up happening. Seems like it's just like nothing occurs, and then there's these quarterly exchanges, and maybe you guys feel like, okay, we'll just do these things where we just get yelled at and berated, and that'll be, we can put up with those once every few months or quarterly, however often this happens. But there needs to be more than this, more than something more than this. You can't really call it a true collaboration. I don't think a true collaborative plan if you know, it's not capacious enough to include the diversity of voices. If you're not really being true to the concept of collaboration if everybody's voices aren't being heard. And from what I'm looking at in terms of this reinvention plan, it really, this is an honest space for feedback here. It just looks like real floppy and like just unimaginative, and almost looks like a report, like a group project report where nobody
initially kind of everybody forgot to get together, and then like the last minute, like the night before, everything kind of got thrown together into this like slapdash last minute thing, where I don't underestimate your competency necessarily as a group, although I mean maybe I do, but I don't want to just like be out and out disparaging towards just task force task membership, whatever. I keep forgetting what the terminology is, but I think more collaboration, a deeper collaboration can be established hopefully over time, and that hopefully you are hearing some of what's coming through. I didn't really prepare any exact statements, but like I did look at this elementary school report that you guys put together, that bullet points that is really, might as well just rolled up a bunch of sheets of paper and just slapped collectively anybody that showed any criticism towards you in the face, collective face. And I just hope that a more constructive approach can unfold, emerge over time. You have to at least include voices that are critical of what you're doing or critical of policing in order to call it a true collaboration. And thanks for your time. Hopefully more of these will happen more frequently, and we can make some transformative change and really upheave this whole thing, because it really needs severe change.
Okay, the number is 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay. This is Alex Genuis, and she lives on Chapin. You may begin.
Hi, so I'll be reading a story on behalf of another community member. Hi, I'm O, and I have had my own experience with racial profiling at the hands of the police. Back a few summers ago, I was grocery shopping when I noticed a large police presence at a cemetery nearby. After shopping, I joined a crowd of onlookers to get a closer look at what was going on, and was told by an officer that I needed to leave since it was an active crime scene. However, as I walked away, the officers called me back and immediately asked for my ID and began to question me. Even though I told them that I was simply shopping in the grocery store nearby and had nothing to do with the crime, they were skeptical of me and asked if I had anything on me. I even had a receipt as proof that I had only been grocery shopping across the street. I later discovered, after they let me leave, that the image of a skinny black man with dreads was being circulated as a possible suspect in the incident, which involved an officer who had been stabbed in the cemetery. However, at that time, I was overweight and did not match the description at all, except for me being black. The officers that stopped me simply saw a black man and matched me to their image of what the suspect looked like. Some of my friends even told me that they too had been stopped in the days following this incident and suspected of being involved for simply being black. I saw no one pick up this story of police racially profiling individuals like me in Binghamton. I wanted to see these officers being held accountable for their actions, and I still want to see it today. There needs to be more accountability for officers who racially target and profile innocent individuals, as well as a purging of the system to rid the police force of those who support or participate in these actions. Thank you for listening.
Okay, the number is 772-7100, 772-7100. Hi, you're calling for public comment. Please state your full name and address. Okay, give me 1 second, I'll put you on speaker. This is Katie Bowers, and she lives on Mill Street. You may begin.
Hi, I was watching earlier when y'all were having the discussion about swearing and appropriate tone, and had to depart because I had to put my kid to bed, but I'm back, and it was so frustrating to watch because I understand the discussion, and also the only reason that y'all are getting sworn at is because the community is angry. They feel left out of this process, and people worked so hard over this year to just provide solutions and provide a voice to what the community really wanted. And it's so frustrating to watch my city council miss the point. And like, you know, I don't want y'all to get sworn at all, especially the three of you that have really been watching this whole time. But I am a white woman who has lived on the south side of Binghamton my entire life. And I have very much always been taught the police are there to help you and keep you safe. And watching this process unfold, I have no faith at all that the police department will listen to me, will listen to my neighbors of color. Like, people are standing outside, like, begging for something to change and for the police to listen and for the mayor to listen. And it's wild to me that people are trying this hard to make it fair. And a lot of the decision makers in the Binghamton government are just saying, no, we don't care. And it's very frustrating to have lived here my whole life and have been a part of this community and have this be where we are. So yeah, I appreciate the council members here listening, and I really hope more folks can get on board because the community is making it really, really easy to hear what we have to say. Yes, and also the police should not have a tank. I don't want my 2-year-old living in a place where the police have a tank. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, the number is 772. Hi, you're calling for public comment? Okay, please state your full name and address. Okay, can you just say that one more time? It kind of broke up a little bit. This is Stella, and she lives on Arthur Street.
Hi. Time and time again, the residents of Binghamton voice their concerns about city policing, and your response is $1 million tank, more police officers, and cultural competency training. I think there's not enough training in the world to address the systemic and militaristic structure of policing in Binghamton. The fact is, your citizens, we don't want police. We want education, we want affordable public housing, and we want better roads and city infrastructure. We want parks for our kids to play in and affordable and healthy grocery stores in areas of Binghamton that are literally food deserts. We want access to drug addiction services and counseling. We want access to mental health counseling and more. We don't want policing. But it seems like the proposals of this city council mirror proposals of a county in Oklahoma or Texas, and yet Binghamton is 4 hours away from New York City, where many districts are already in talks of defunding the police. So your proposals are extremely archaic and backwards and far away from the realities of the conversation right now surrounding policing. But
clearly, as you've heard tonight from this public hearing, a lot of us are telling you exactly what people want. And so I hope that you perk up your ears a little bit more and listen to those suggestions, because your proposals right now are far from the realities of what people see as the future of policing. And in my opinion, the future of policing is obsolete. We should get rid of it. So thank you.
Okay, the number is 772-7100-7. You're calling for public comment? Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is Kenichi Black, and they live on Main Street in Binghamton. You may begin.
Hi, good evening. Before I read the story of this mother, I just want to say that the fact that you are more worried about cursing and derogatory language over justice just shows, how little you actually care about the community. There's a teenager who literally just got beat by 5 grown-ass men, and y'all worried about how he talks. Okay, on to her story. Hi, I'm Dee. I have my own experience with over-policing and racial profiling that has stayed with me for years. It was about 15 years ago, when I was pulled over in a traffic stop, which I was profiled because I was Black and suspect because of scrap metal I was transporting for the company that I worked for. Instead of believing me or verifying my story, I was given a ticket for a traffic violation I did not commit. It was an excuse to pull me over, and handcuffed, taken into custody, held overnight till I was cleared in the morning. I had never had even a parking ticket to my name before this incident. It truly traumatized me. Because of the behavior of the police who arrested me, I was scared for my life. Yes, these encounters with police for people of color leave a lasting trauma and distrust. As a mother of color with 2 sons, I always try to tell my children that police are good. But if you are ever stopped by police, do as you're told or it can get you hurt or in trouble. As my children developed into teenagers, they realized slowly that the police were not always good, and they have developed a healthy mistrust in police because of the constant racial profiling and harassment they endure because of being teenage boys of color in Binghamton. My one son, who has never been in trouble, had a terrible encounter with Binghamton police when visiting with friends who were all teenagers of color. While at their friend's house, there was a party going on. The neighbor next door, an older white guy, was very drunk and started giving the kids a hard time. He became belligerent and the kids went inside their apartment. Next thing they knew, this drunk neighbor started to knock on the door and broke into the apartment and began threatening and attacking the kids. One of those kids hit the man to stop his attack. Meanwhile, another neighbor had called the police. The police arrived, refused to hear or take information from the teenagers of color, but only took the white drunk man's story and arrested the 3 young men of color. My son ended up in Broome County Jail and was eventually exonerated from all of the charges when the truth came out. The Binghamton police assumed it was the young Black man's fault and only took the words of a drunken white guy. Again, what appears to be racial profiling. Of course, the white guy is telling the truth. They made little attempt to get the story from all parties. We believe because they were Black and young, the officers assumed they were in the wrong. So my son, who has never been in trouble, had to spend over a week in Broome County Jail. And now, even though he was exonerated and his record was supposed to be sealed, the trust has delayed his ability to join the military because the military has access to this arrest record. Since this incident, he feels that he is being profiled. Numerous times, he has been harassed and stopped by BPD when he is just going home or going to a friend's house or to the store. He says it happens all of the time by BPD to young men of color. He wants to get out of Binghamton because of the treatment by BPD. This harassment of young men of color is constant, must be stopped. What I think is needed for police reform, there needs to be more accountability and training. I think there needs to be a special counseling and training team to work all of the time with BPD officers. They need to evaluate officers' attitudes, behaviors, and mental soundness on a regular basis. They also need to assess biases and underlying racism, intended or unattended. Officers need to have ongoing sensitivity training, and they need training on how to deal with mental health issues, how to de-escalate situations. They need training for harm reduction techniques. They need training on how to assess the situation in a person's state of being. They
you have
to
1
learn
minute
how to
left.
talk a person down. Reduction in the use of force, eliminating chokeholds, and we need to shoot a wound as a last resort, not a shoot to kill. This ongoing training is needed. Currently, it seems they undergo military training on how to shoot, and they learn very little on how to be a helping person rather than an authority. In addition to holding the police accountable, there must be an independent authority to oversee police behavior so residents can file complaints of misconduct or negative behavior that will be investigated. And in my own words, that was the end of her story. You reduce crime by reducing poverty. Divest from police, invest in education, living wages, housing, and everything that lifts people out of poverty. Mayor David, BPD can go fuck themselves.
Okay, so, the fact that this is happening, this foul language thing, really is used to deter families with young people or older folks or whoever to feel like they can tune in and engage like the rest. And so the goal here really is to allow for a space that just makes our citizens comfortable to tune in with their children, with whoever they want, to participate in this process that we have. And so we've had now a number of callers violating the rules, being disrespectful. Any other public comments can be sent directed to bpdcollaborative@cityofbinghamton.com, and we will forward those comments to council. I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Madam President.
Second.